The garden industry does not want your yard buzzing with butterflies and hummingbirds. It wants you buying trays of flashy annuals every single spring, the ones that burn out by August and leave your yard silent and still right when it should be alive. But today, that ends. I am about to show you 8 perennials that come back every single year and keep butterflies and hummingbirds working your garden from late spring all the way to the first hard frost. No replanting, no rebuying, no empty August. These are the plants that quietly outperform everything the big garden centers push on you. If nobody has ever shown you how to keep your yard full of wings all season without the constant spending cycle the industry sold you, subscribe right now. Every single week, this channel puts out exactly this kind of content, and it is completely free. Stick with me. Number 1. Salvia, May Night. Salvia nemorosa, May Night. Here is the thing nobody tells you about spring. Your garden wakes up, the green comes back, a few early blooms open, and the air stays completely empty. No hummingbirds, no butterflies. Just a quiet yard that looks alive but feels dead. Most gardeners just wait and hope something shows up. Salvia May Night makes sure it does. This perennial sends up dense spikes of deep violet-blue flowers in late spring, right when almost nothing else is feeding wildlife yet. It is one of the very first plants to ring the dinner bell for hummingbirds and bees, and if you shear it back after that first flush, it blooms again. It is cold hardy in United States Department of Agriculture zones 4 through 8, which covers gardeners from the upper Midwest down through most of the South. It is drought tolerant. It is deer resistant. It thrives on neglect once it is established. No watering schedule, no staking, no fuss. Plant it along a sunny border or the front of a bed and watch the first wings of the season arrive. But one early bloomer is not enough to carry you through. You need the season to never go quiet. Number 2. Catmint Walker's Low. Nepeta racemosa Walker's Low. Now, what does the garden industry want you to plant instead? A tray of annuals, bright, cheap, gone by the first frost. You buy them every spring, they die every fall, and the cycle just keeps emptying your wallet while your yard goes silent again. Catmint Walker's Low breaks that cycle completely. This perennial throws up a soft cloud of lavender blue flowers over silvery green foliage starting in early summer, and it does not stop. Bees and butterflies work it from morning to dusk, all season long. Shear it back once midsummer, and it reblooms like it is starting over. It is cold hardy in USDA zones 3 through 8, which means almost every gardener watching this is covered. It handles poor soil. It handles heat. It handles the kind of neglect that kills most flowering plants without a second thought. And here is what I need you to hear. If your yard has been empty and quiet for years, that was never your fault. You were handed the wrong plants from the very beginning, planted along a path or spilling over a border edge, and the wings will follow. Now that the season has started, let us make summer loud. Number 3. Bee Balm. Monarda Jacob Klein. It is the middle of summer. This is the moment your yard should be loudest. Humming, darting, alive with motion. Most yards are not. Most yards just sit there in the July heat, doing nothing, because nobody planted the one thing hummingbirds cannot resist. Bee Balm is that thing. Few plants on earth pull hummingbirds like this one. Jacob Klein sends up bold scarlet crowns on tall stems in midsummer, and those red blooms are a beacon. Hummingbirds work them all day. Butterflies and bees pile on. The whole plant turns into a feeding station that makes your yard feel like it is breathing. It is a North American native, cold hardy in USDA zones 4 through 9, and the aromatic foliage means deer leave it completely alone. One thing the industry will not tell you: older varieties get powdery mildew and look terrible by August. Jacob Klein was bred to resist it, so choose the resistant types, and skip that whole problem. Plant it where it has room to spread into a patch, and it will fill the air with motion. Hummingbirds are covered now, but the monarchs need something very specific. Number 4, butterfly weed. Number 4, butterfly weed, Asclepias tuberosa. Everyone wants monarchs in their yard. Almost nobody plants the one thing the monarch actually needs to survive. And that is exactly the gap the garden industry never fills, because they would rather sell you a flat of pretty annuals than the native plant that does the real work. Butterfly weed does the real work. This North American native sends up fiery orange flower clusters in midsummer that nectar-feeding butterflies and bees swarm. But here is what makes it irreplaceable. It is a host plant. Monarch butterflies lay their eggs on it, and the caterpillars feed on its leaves. No butterfly weed, no next generation of monarchs. It is cold hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9, and it actually prefers lean, dry, neglected soil. It grows a deep taproot that makes it almost impossible to kill once established. No watering, no babying, no fertilizer, just orange fire and monarchs. Plant it in full sun and leave it completely alone. Now I want to know something. Have you ever actually seen a monarch in your yard? Tell me in the comments right now, because I genuinely want to know how many of you are missing them. You have motion, you have monarchs. Now comes the part nobody tells you. Number 5, coneflower, Echinacea purpurea. American gardeners spend billions of dollars every single year on annual flowers that feed almost nothing and die before the first frost. Billions on plants that give you a few weeks of color and then leave your yard empty. The coneflower is the exact opposite of that entire cycle. This plant feeds your garden for months, and then it keeps feeding it long after the blooms are gone. From midsummer into early fall, it covers itself in large, rosy purple daisies with raised copper-orange center cones, and butterflies and bees work them constantly. But here is the part most people never find out. When the flowers fade, do not cut them down. Those seed heads stay standing through fall and winter, and goldfinches feed on them directly, right out of your garden, in December. One plant, 2 seasons of wildlife, and you did almost nothing. It is a North American native, cold hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9, drought tolerant, and it has passed more garden trials than almost any perennial in American history. Plant it in full sun, leave the seed heads up, and let it work. But the coneflower is not the secret. The secret is the next plant, and it is one most people get completely wrong. Number 6, garden phlox David, Phlox paniculata David. Let me tell you what happens to most people who try garden phlox. They plant it, it looks beautiful for a few weeks, and then it turns into a mildewed, gray, crumbling mess by August. So they rip it out, blame themselves, and never try it again. And the garden industry is fine with that, because they keep selling you the weak old varieties that were practically built to fail. David is different. David is the one variety they should be putting in your hands and almost never do. This phlox produces huge clouds of pure white, intensely fragrant flowers from midsummer into early fall, and it was specifically bred to resist the powdery mildew that destroys every other phlox. That fragrance is not just for you. It is what pulls hummingbirds, butterflies, and moths in from across the yard, all season long. It is cold hardy in USDA zones 4 through 8, and if you snip off the spent blooms, it just keeps going. Plant it in full sun with a little airflow, and it will perfume your whole garden while it feeds the wings. You have the peak covered now. The real question is what happens when everyone else's garden quits. Number 7, sedum autumn joy, Hylotelephium autumn joy. There is a moment in late summer when most yards just collapse. The neighbors' gardens go brown and tired, the blooms are spent, and the butterflies start drifting somewhere else because there is nothing left to feed on. That is exactly the moment this plant turns on. While everything around it is shutting down, autumn joy is just getting started. All summer, it builds up thick, succulent foliage and tight, flat flower heads that look like green broccoli. Then, right as the season fades, those heads open into a dusty rose pink and slowly deepen to a rich, coppery rust, and they become a feeding station. Bees and butterflies cover them through late summer and deep into fall, when almost nothing else is offering a meal. It is cold hardy in USDA zones 3 through 9. Those fleshy leaves store water, so it shrugs off drought, heat, and neglect without a single complaint. And when the blooms finally dry, the seed heads hold their shape and feed your garden structure straight through winter. Plant it at the front of a sunny bed and let it carry you. But there is one last plant that closes the gap completely, the final meal before frost. Number 8. New England Aster. Number 8. New England Aster. Symphyotricum novae Angliae. It is the first cold night of fall. Everything else in the neighborhood is finished, brown, and bare. And there is one plant in your yard glowing purple and absolutely covered in wings. That is the New England Aster, and it is the plant that finally makes the word all season mean something. When every other flower has quit, this native explodes into clouds of purple-violet blooms with golden centers, and it becomes the last great feast of the year. This is the fuel that migrating monarchs depend on to make their journey south. It is the last full meal for bees before winter shuts everything down. Without late bloomers like this, that fall window goes completely empty. It is cold hardy in USDA zones 4 to 8. It is a tough North American native, and it comes back harder and fuller every single year. Plant it where it has room and watch it close out the season in a blaze of purple and movement. Now here is what I want you to take away from everything you just watched. A silent, empty yard is not your failure as a gardener. It is the result of being sold the wrong plants by an industry that profits when your garden quits. These 8 perennials fix that, because together they hand butterflies and hummingbirds an unbroken table from late spring to the first hard frost. You plant them once. The wings come back every single year. So tell me in the comments right now, which one of these 8 are you putting in your yard this season? And if you already grow one of them, tell me how it is performing, because I read every single comment. If this video just showed you how to bring your yard back to life, the least you can do is hit subscribe. It is free, and I am back every single week with more plants the industry ignores. And before you go, I just put out a video that pairs perfectly with this one. It is right there on your screen. Go watch it now.